Okay, welcome to the Philly Fox and Danny D Eagles podcast. That's the star of the show, Philly Fox, and I'm your host, Danny D. And we're coming to you from our Eagles perch in the Ed Bobko Memorial Studios in beautiful Morristown, PA. And today we're going to discuss free agent frenzy. Okay, so first thing we're actually going to talk about isn't a free agent move, but it kind of started everything. And that is what?
Saquon Barkley got an extension.
Okay, and how much was that?
2 years, $41.2 million.
Okay, and so, I mean, I know we talked, and this is to do what?
To re-sign Zach Bond.
Help
create the cap space to do so.
Right. And so a lot of people, we didn't talk about this beforehand, but it just came to mind. Let's throw it out there. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, why so much, and why right now? What do you have any? I mean, other than the cap space, do you think part of it was also maybe to thank him for his Super Bowl and helping get the Super Bowl? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
Well, yes. Even though Howie knows business, he knows what he's doing. So I trust whatever thought process went through his head that he made the right one.
Yeah, and I'm just going to throw this out there, and then maybe part of it is maybe he also kind of gave up going for the record, right?
Yes.
So I think that's something that might have played into it, and as well as
thanking Saquon for his services.
Yeah, and creating the cap space and stuff. So all right, well now that leads us into our free agent signing, right?
Well, yes, we start with running back A.J. Dillon.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Did we miss? I mean, the Bond deal, right? Because that's what it created. So so then we re-signed Bond, right?
Yes, 3 years, $51 million, 34 guaranteed.
Right. Okay. So that wasn't and that was definitely what, tops on your list. I know it was up there on my list.
Well, yes,
right?
He was free agent signing priority number one.
Right. Okay. And all right, so it was great that we got that deal. Everybody, I think that was everybody's priority number one. I think there's nobody that really didn't want Zach Bond back. Okay, so who else did we get?
There's the running back A.J. Dillon.
Okay, and he's from
the Packers.
Right, and you like him, right?
Well, yes. I mean, he missed all of last season with a neck injury, but prior to that, he was pretty good as a backup.
Okay, and I'm in favor of it. I think that's a good signing, and there's even been I've seen some posts on Twitter about him and pictures of him and Barkley next to each other, and they're calling them like quadzillas or
yes.
dual quadzillas or something like that.
Well, that could have played a hand in him signing here. He wanted to be with Saquon and stuff.
Yeah, and good signing there. So how about what else you have?
Linebacker Josh Uche from the Patriots.
Okay, from the Patriots, and now this guy's had some numbers in the past. He's had some good years, right?
Well, yes, granted on some bad Patriot teams, but
yeah, okay, but he played against good teams, so hopefully hopefully he can bring some of those numbers with him. And I've said this before. I'm not necessarily a big numbers guy. Like, just because a guy had almost double digit sacks doesn't equate into defensive stops and stopping the run. So and a lot of those numbers can be inflated, right? Like, other players on the team actually have to do really well to create those numbers, exactly. Okay, so that could be a positive signing there. And what else we got?
Well, tight end Harrison Bryant from the Raiders.
Okay, Harrison Bryant from the Raiders. All right, and do you know much about him?
Well, no, because he was the backup tight end because they have Brock Bowers. His name is.
Okay, all right. So he didn't really get to play much. So he could have an upside there. And did we get another tight end?
Kylan Granson, yes.
Okay. And unfortunately, this is kind of setting the stage for
possibly Goddard leaving. We hope not. But
right, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, look, if it works out that the numbers don't fit well or whatever, but we both remember how well he played after he came back from injury and was such a critical part of their playoff run, right, and getting to the Super Bowl.
Oh yes, he had that double stiff arm and all that.
Yeah, the stiff arm, the one-handed catch, turning around, running over people. I mean, Goddard just had a great job. But I think the key factor here is two things. One, I started with saying how good he was by saying he came back from injury. Unfortunately, we've said that a few times, right?
And that plays a role in why he might be traded, like
yeah,
because he'll miss half the season, and
right.
stuff.
And I guess it's he's a decent cap hit, right? So, but you're going to factor in if he didn't have the injury factor, then maybe the cap hit would be worth it. But I'm sure Howie's probably looking at it as that we're going to be able to maybe get the job done, maybe even by committee. I don't know because
Calcaterra stepped in nicely.
Yeah, catching the ball, right? Catching the ball, yes. But as far as but he's not as good of a blocker, right? Like Goddard definitely made a big difference in the blocking scheme when he came back. So if there's one knock on Calcaterra, it might be his blocking because if I'm not mistaken, I think there's several times when we watched like highlights, he was maybe the guy that got beat when Jalen got sacked or got a lot of pressure and stuff like that. So
because our offensive line sure as heck doesn't get beat. So
yeah, right. The rest of the line is right. I mean, there's just none better. I mean, we know that. So all right. Anyhow, so and then I know we skipped over somebody on their list there. So let's.
Well, cornerback Adoree Jackson from the Giants.
Okay, all right, and that's a decent signing, right?
Well, yes. I mean, he's out of the prime of his career, but he's not going to be a full-time starter like he was in New York.
Right, but he definitely can come in
and fill the Isaiah Rodgers role.
Right. Who unfortunately,
left. We'll talk about that later.
Well, yeah, we'll bring him up. Okay, and then is there anybody else?
Long snapper Charlie Hewlett from the Browns.
Okay, that kind of actually
came out of left field. So.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. I really didn't know that there was an issue.
Because Lovato might be gone, that might signal the end of his tenure.
Yeah, I don't know. Caught me off guard. That's all I can say. But anyhow, all right. So now we're gonna move on to.
Free agent losses. Okay, so yeah, this is a little bit sadder part. Okay, so who do we have at the top of the list there? Cornerback Darius Slay signed with the Steelers, 1 year, $10 million.
Yeah, big play Slay. Yeah, I kind of hoped that was gonna end up that maybe he was gonna come back and that maybe they were gonna the market value wasn't gonna be as high as the Eagles were willing to go and maybe they were gonna end up bringing him back, but it didn't work out.
And I think he wanted a bigger role because there's Quinion, Mitchell, Cooper, DeJean be playing behind all of them. And
sure.
In Pittsburgh, he has a bigger role. That's played into it too.
Yeah, and he's going to a defensive team, a good defensive team for the most part, right? The Steelers are known as a
defensive team,
right? So good for him. Don't begrudge him leaving. Enjoyed his time here. I mean. Hey, big play Slay, right?
Yes.
Okay, so next one.
I think cornerback James Bradbury was just cut.
Okay, all right. I don't really have a problem with it. I don't. How do you feel about it?
Well, he didn't play last year because he was injured in that.
Okay, all right, and then obviously that had something to do with it. Major role in it. Okay, next one.
Well, cornerback Isaiah Rodgers signed with the Vikings, 2 years, $11 million.
Yeah. I mean, he did so well this year. I was, you're happy for him that he's getting the payday, and but he did such a really good job filling in, don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Who else we got?
Defensive lineman Milton Williams. This is the big one. He signed with the Patriots. For 4 years, $104 million, like a massive overpay in my opinion.
Yeah, and happy for the guy. I mean, you got to be happy in a way, right? That he's got all that money, and but I'm telling you, so many great moments from the past season, so many great moments from the Super Bowl, but just because it was against Mahomes, that punch in the Super Bowl, I just can't. I will never forget that. And so I wish he could have stayed. But when you get offered that kind of money, there's no way we could keep him, and we'll get by.
I think so. He was a mid-round pick, but the Patriots are paying him to be the face of the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't hate him for making this comment, but he made a comment.
This is like the biggest day of his life or something, signing that contract.
Yeah, just after winning the Super Bowl, and I get it. It was something that he said emotionally because of all the money and becoming kind of like the face of the defense and stuff like that. I mean, he wasn't going to be that here, right? So at least for now, he has an opportunity there. But it does sting a little bit when somebody that just won the Super Bowl with your team says that, but I still wish him all the best. All right, next one.
Well, defensive end Josh Sweat signed with the Cardinals, 4 years, $76 million.
Okay, all right. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
I mean, he's a good player, but he's not $19 million a year good.
Yeah. This was definitely I agree. I think this was a good financial decision. Played well, was a part of getting us to the Super Bowl. Had some very, very, very good games, but again, he's replaced. I feel like we can replace him definitely for less money.
Well, yes, both Williams and Sweat. So
yeah, and what else you got?
Well, linebacker Oren Burks. Like this one kind of stings me a little because he filled in nicely when Nakobe Dean got injured. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we enjoyed it. I mean, that stretch going into the playoffs and everything. It was really fun doing those podcasts, being able to shout out some of these names of people that weren't starters, and these were guys coming in off the bench and filling in.
Well, he's signed with the Bengals, 2 years, $5 million on that note.
Okay, yep. So. And so he'll be missed, and I'm with Philly on that. Okay, do we have any more, right?
Well, running back Kenneth Gainwell signed with the Steelers, 1 year, $1.79 million.
Okay, all right. Gainwell. Okay, so now this is I like Kenny. I mean, I thought he did a good job. Obviously, he's not Barkley, but he did a really good job coming in, and he played a lot of special teams, right? Recovered some fumbles, and he was a good ball player, but doesn't fit into the mix right now, and so good for him getting a payday.
And then, this one hurts like the most, I'd say, out of the losses.
Yeah.
Right guard Mekhi Becton, Chargers, 2 years, $20 million.
Yeah, this was the one. These were him and Bond, right? Those were the two that I thought we should have been like, the priorities. Bond and Bond, they did. This one, I don't know. Look, in Howie we trust, right? I guess. But sometimes you don't 100% agree. I think linemen are really hard to replace. What do you think?
Well, though with Jeff Stoutland, he could turn me into an All-Pro, you into an All-Pro. That's what he's been doing.
Oh my, yeah. Folks, if you knew how old I was, you'd know how crazy that statement was. Okay, maybe back in the day, and then even then it would be a reach. But okay.
Well, because he's literally taken like rejects and turned them into All-Pro, from other teams. That's he's been done his whole career here.
But let's I wouldn't say Becton was a reject or anything, but yeah,
he was on the Jets. Well, then again, everybody's a reject on the Jets.
You can't really go by what they do on the Jets. I mean, we got that other guy that we got from the Jets, and then he did well there, but he didn't do.
Well, Bryce Huff, but
yeah,
I still have hope for the losses. He might get a bigger role.
It's hard to say. We don't really know. We'll have to see if he's actually on the Eagles, and if he is, hopefully we can get something out of him. But I got a feeling that Vic don't like him, so I don't know. If Vic don't like you, I don't think you're going to be around.
Well, because speaking of Vic, we'll get to our trades, and Vic I think had a say in this trade.
Okay, and who's that?
Safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah. I go ahead.
Well, for a 2026 sixth-round pick, went to Houston with it. And then for O-lineman, Kenyon Green, and a 2026 fifth-round pick.
Okay, all right.
Well, Kenyon Green's another. He's a reject from the Texans. Like, he didn't work out. They were a first-round pick lineman. And
okay.
Jeff Stoutland's trying to resurrect his career.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna, all right. So we'll hopefully we can
replace Becton.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm not crazy about
trading CJGJ.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, I don't. I'm sure he had his run-ins with Howie and other coaches or whatever. I don't know. And
he was doing stuff behind the scenes because Howie stated it was for financial reasons, but I believe there was more to it, that we don't know about.
Yeah. And but because some people picked on and I'm not saying the organization or Howie. Some people, a lot of the fans were like, yeah, they don't like his emotions on the field, and they worry about the penalties and stuff like that. But man, I tell you what. You take all the turnovers and all the big plays that guy created and how big a part of this defense he was. I'll take that emotion. We said that before. I've said that before, and I love his emotion, and I feel he'll be missed. But I have faith that they'll still be able to get by without him. That doesn't mean that you won't miss him. I loved his emotion out there.
Because I think Howie, on that note, there's this safety named Malachi Starks out of Georgia, and you know how he loves his Georgia players.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm saying I think he's targeting him in the draft if he's still there at 32.
Okay, all right. And so was that the last?
Well, there's one more trade.
Okay, one more trade.
Well, QB Kenny Pickett. To the Browns for a 2025 fifth-round pick and QB Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Okay, all right. I get. I've kind of heard the name, but there's so many guys with the last name Robinson. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I get them confused. But what do you? Is there anything to know about him? Anything positive?
Well, I mean, he didn't play well, but then again, I said, what QB succeeds on the Browns?
Yeah, right. It's not a real good situation, and he probably didn't really get.
Well, he was playing because they had a quarterback carousel because Watson got injured, and right.
Oh, okay.
Then Jameis Winston. It's just the Browns are a mess, and I'm glad I'm not a fan of it.
Okay.
Put it that way.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole. You could do a one-day show on being how bad it is being a Browns fan for how long. I feel bad. We feel bad for them sometimes. Yes. Don't even get me started on the whole thing with them to go the Raptors. The Ravens and going to Baltimore and them getting another team, and that's. We don't have time for that at all. Okay, so anyway, so let's get on topic here. What do we got?
Well, we'll go to division news.
Okay, all right. So the division news. So who are we gonna? So let's start with Washington.
Yes. Well, they re-signed Ertz and Wagner. They were one piece on the offense that was big, and Wagner, despite his
hold on though, just not to cut you off, but did we? I think we were gonna actually, to be honest with you, John, weren't we gonna? Did we talk about the draft picks? That we accumulated all those draft picks.
We got 20 draft picks in 2 years, including the compensatory ones from losing free agents.
Right. So yeah, the reason we wanted to talk about that and bring that up was because, Howie has been doing a hell of a job. Sometimes we're just looking at some of these deals on the surface, but actually, but we're forgetting about all these draft picks that he's accumulated. Now, so we just wanted to bring that up. That's a pretty good number. What'd you say? Say it again.
20 draft picks in 2 years.
In 2 years. So let's remember that and keep that in mind going forward. That we're not just building the team for next year, but we're also building the team the year after that and the year after that. So, all right, now let's get back to
division news.
Yeah, division news and Washington. And I'm sorry, the first one again was.
I said they re-signed Ertz on offense and Wagner on their defense.
Okay, and Ertz, I know I heard Washington people kind of like that, or they were for that because he's kind of like a Daniel's safety valve, or he definitely goes to him a lot. Now his age, he's getting up there in age, though.
Well, yeah, because
right?
like Travis Kelce fell off a cliff, and Travis Kelce's one of the greatest tight ends in. Father Time is undefeated. And
yeah.
Ertz might not have a good year this year.
Yeah. We don't know. But that's so. And then the Wagner. Okay.
Well, he's on D. He's the veteran presence that they like.
Okay. All right. And they, of course, that's going to help. That didn't they lose on their defense?
Well, Jonathan Allen went to the Vikings, 3 years, $60 million.
Okay. All right. And go ahead.
To replace him, they signed Javon Kinlaw, who was a bust with the 49ers. He was a first-round pick and didn't pan out. Okay. But they signed him to 3 years, $45 million, which I would have just re-signed Allen. If you're going to give Kinlaw that money, I would rather have Allen.
Yeah, that's weird that they did that.
But I guess Allen's age, and he has had some injuries in it. But I mean, he's still. I would take the payoff that he'll be on the field and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? That's why they're Washington, right? So, okay, go ahead. What is that? It?
Or do you they traded for Deebo Samuel, another older player. His numbers have been falling in the Niners, and the Niners thought he was expendable because when the Niners move on from you, because the Niners are a well-run team, they know it's time to move on. They don't have sentiment to all-time greats to their franchise. And
gotcha. Now, but just throw this out there though, the thought could have been there that, it's not necessarily that he's done physically or he's necessarily done in the NFL, but he's done with the 49ers. Like their relationship and everything was just, it was sour.
But, I'm saying when they move on, they don't move on from players in their prime usually. The Niners move on when it's time.
But he is talented enough that, I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to have a good year. I'm far from saying it. I'm just saying that the word is that, there's a possibility that he's going to want to kind of stick it to him, and he's going to want to really go out there and prove himself that they made a mistake and that he still has something in the tank. Whether he can do that or not, I don't know. But that's what I'm thinking that was Washington's thinking when they signed him and stuff like that. And then that pairs him up with...
Well, Laramie Tunsil, offensive lineman.
Okay.
But they gave up significant draft capital for Laramie Tunsil. A third-round pick this year and a fourth-round pick and then a second-round pick next year. They just threw away draft picks they're candy or something, to get put it that way.
Yeah, because you said they don't have many, right?
Because they only have 5 this year. So.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, they're going all in, but at the same time, I think they need to address the because Deebo or Laramie Tunsil don't address the defense.
Okay. All right. So is that it for
Washington?
Washington? Okay, and then
the Giants next. But the Giants were relatively quiet. All they did was sign safety Javon Holland from the Dolphins.
Okay.
3 years, $45 million.
Right.
I mean, he's a decent safety, but he had a down year last year. And what's I'm saying they're paying him like he's Ed Reed or somebody, like Charles Woodson, Brian Dawkins, Troy Polamalu. I can go.
Yeah, well, he's one of those guys that's making out in the free agency, right? Yeah.
But though he said he wanted to go to a winning team, and I wouldn't classify the Giants as a winning team, right?
I'm sorry. Did you have to say that while I was drinking? I almost choked.
But I mean, I saw an article and said
because I'm sorry. When you say Giants and winning team all in the same sentence, I mean you throw me.
He went against his words, right?
Yeah, right. You say one thing and do another.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well,
and then the only other news, really.
Well, we're waiting on a QB decision from Rodgers, Wilson, or they might draft a QB. The Giants. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be next.
And I don't know. Rodgers going there. That's kind of weird, right?
But I mean, like I said, I don't think he would improve it because he didn't improve the Jets any and stuff.
Oh yeah. Again, it could be
the situation,
or another situation where an old guy trying to prove that he could still do it, and who knows, maybe he can eke out a decent season. Is that going to make them a contender or have a really good team? He's better off going to
the Steelers, because he's between the Giants and the Steelers. The Steelers are a better team.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that it's less of an address change, and that maybe he has some connections there in New York now, having being the Jet, and then he's just gonna just go to the other team. I don't know. It doesn't seem to make sense, but hey, It doesn't have to. So, So how about the Cowboys?
Because we were talking about actions speaking louder than words, right?
Yeah.
Like old Jerry Jones once is going all in, once
going all.
He didn't sign anybody much outside of Miles Sanders.
Yeah, what's all in mean? I don't know.
It means like I'm going to sign everybody I can, and
Yeah, in Texas Hold'em, it's when you take all your chips and you push all your chips in and you put all your eggs in one basket and you go for it. But I don't know. I don't think Jerry really understands that term. So I'm sorry.
Because Miles Sanders to a 1 year, $1.3 million deal.
Okay, that's a former Eagle, right?
Well, yes, though he fell out of favor in Carolina, like when he signed there, like because Chuba Hubbard, he lost his job to him, and
okay.
So is Miles Sanders the same Miles Sanders he was in Philly? Like it doesn't seem that way.
Doesn't seem that way. Okay, who knows? Maybe he gets
bounces back a little.
Back a little or whatever. But it's definitely not
like a splash,
Yeah, or a big improvement or whatever. Not a big upgrade there or anything. What else did they do anything else?
Well, they resigned their wide receiver and punt returner Kevontae Turpin to 3 years, $13.5 million.
Okay, I mean that's you can say that's a decent.
Well, he's
signing.
like a decent receiver, but like he's technically their number 2 or 3, wherever you play.
Right.
They don't have a true number 2, so right.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
So again, it's not really an upgrade. It's just keeping what they had.
Oh yes.
Okay, so all right.
It's the same team minus Miles Sanders, plus but it's pretty much the same roster he had last year, other than Miles Sanders.
Okay. All right. Is that all? Is that it for the Cowboys?
Well, yes, that's all the division news for.
Okay.
Now,
all right. Well, all right. So we brought you up to date on the losses, the signings, having more draft picks, a little bit of news within the division, and as soon as we think there's enough, we'll come back and we'll do another podcast.
Because we could do maybe draft targets or just like the draft in general, recap it if you want.
Sure.
Because I have a couple guys I want the Eagles to draft. Like I said, Malachi Starks. I mentioned him earlier in the video. Like he's the safety out of Georgia.
Absolutely.
Well, no, I don't know if he'll fall to 32 though. Unfortunately.
Sure. Well, no, the draft's a big part of this, especially since we said I don't know how many of those 20 are for this year, but I'm definitely excited going into the draft. And on that note, I can't even qualify this statement other than he's somebody that I'd like to have. I don't even know if he's going to be in the draft or if the Eagles could even get him. But if we lost Goddard, I kind of like the kid from Penn State.
Oh, Tyler Warren. I don't think he's gonna fall that far.
Yeah. Okay. So he is going into the draft this year.
Well, yeah. He might be a top 10 pick from what I hear.
Okay, but hey, we don't have to have that draft pick now, right?
Well, we still have Goddard.
Well, no. What I'm saying is we don't have to have that draft pick in our hands now. We don't know how he's going to do in the meantime. We don't know. Because
he could trade back. He could, trade up, whatever.
Exactly. Combine things. Add players. We don't know yet. I'm just throwing that out there that I like the kid.
Because like when we won the Super Bowl the first time against New England, like how we traded back, because there wasn't a player he truly loved.
Right. Okay.
And we still got Goddard. By trading back. So
yeah,
maybe we trade back again for another tight end. Who knows?
Okay. All right. Yeah. You never know. We never know what he has up his sleeve. Yes. So anyway, when time is right, we'll get another show out there. And remember, if you don't hate us,
like us.
Okay. And then make sure that you follow us
on Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah, and we've been doing a lot of posting now. I'll be honest with you, we kind of we didn't do that much in the beginning, but we're starting to post almost daily, and hopefully even more than daily going forward when there's news. And so look for those on X, and of course the next podcast. And all right, so what else we got? And then I think it's just wrapping it up and saying, "Fly, Eagles, fly!" All right, see ya.